Well, hello and welcome to the Brizy Academy with me, JP, and this is our Brizy Cloud Starter course. We're going to show you how to make a brilliant landing page, one-pager website, but the most important thing is that we're working with the free version of Brizy. Now, apart from the fact that it is free, I think it's a great place to start with a tutorial if you've never worked with Brizy. Even if you have Brizy Pro, let's start here. I'll show you everything from the beginning, how you sign up, how you work here in the dashboard, create a new website, duplicate, delete, etc. But the most important part is how to create this website. We're going to create this with a demo starter template that you can use. Everything is nicely made, and then we switch out the images, switch out the text, change the fonts, change the colors, and in a short while you won't be able to recognize it. A nice Euro section at the top, followed by an About Us section, a little bit more about the company. Then we have this call to action to click and view a video on YouTube. Excellent block slider section with testimonials, some brand sweetness here to give loyalty to your supporters, and then more about your services. Another great hero, and you saw there was a little bit of animation for your team members included, and a contact us form at the bottom that is super duper very, very important. And I'll show you how to add this anchor link so that when you click on it, it takes you to that specific section on the page where you want to go. But because we're working in Brizy Cloud, we'll also look deeper into the project itself, which we call a CMS, Content Management System. I'll show you how to set up the name of your site, how to bring in a favicon and get it ready for your SEO purposes so that people can find your website online in no time. So buckle up, let's get ready and jump right into it and see how we create our site by signing up for a free account with Brizy Cloud. Having said that, remember to visit us at brizy.io, and if you want to know more about the Academy, simply hover over to Resources and select Academy and check out all the courses we have there. Okay, let's get cracking. If you've never heard of Brizy Cloud, let's quickly just look at what you can expect and what Brizy Cloud is all about. In a nutshell, Brizy Cloud is a website maker, and it's one of the most intuitive, easiest, and user-friendly website builders on the market, hands down. It comes with the great Brizy Builder, which makes it very intuitive to build out blocks, sections, and entire pages, of course, entire websites, with the drag and drop tools that are included. And like we will be doing in this video, if you don't want to start from scratch, you can choose from 100 plus to 100 plus high converting pre-made templates, which means the design is already there. All you need to do is switch it out and make it yours. You can see it ranges from business, landing pages, food and restaurant, education, all the way to fitness, sport and travel. Here is the big difference where Brizy Cloud comes in. Many times for other systems that you need to buy everything separately. But with Brizy, everything comes included. You get security, and of course you get the amazing Brizy Builder. And with this, setting up your website, it becomes super fast, reliable, and you basically need to do nothing. Sign in, which I'm going to show you in the next chapter, and then start building right off the bat. It also comes with Google Translation integration, which means you can set up the website in the language of your choosing and then let Google do the translation for you, and you can make manual edits to it. Awesome feature. In this tutorial, we are going to be working with Brizy Cloud free, and your eyes are going to pop from the amazement at how much you can do with Brizy Cloud free. But go and check out at brizy.io/cloud if you want to learn more about what you can get with Brizy Cloud Pro, and also check out the tutorials here at the Academy. It includes a lot of stuff, things that I love. For example, the pop-up builder. I cannot imagine my life without the pop-up builder. But with Pro version, you also get things like building out your header, your footer, and a lot of other conditions, white label marketing for those who are in need of that. And you get access to all those Pro pre-made design templates and a lot of other marketing integrations such as Zapier and MailChimp. Now that you have a good idea of what Brizy Cloud is, in the next chapter, let's get starting by opening your free Brizy Cloud account. Everything in Brizy Cloud is made so that it can go quickly. Go to brizy.cloud or brizy.io/cloud, and then in the top you can select free forever plan, and that's going to open up the sign up process for you. This is as simple as signing up with Build Your Site Free. Go through the registration process by choosing either Google or even LinkedIn if you want to use those accounts for signing in, or you can sign up manually. And then, like me, once you've done that, easily log in and begin building out your website. Select Go to Brizy Cloud and you will enter the world of the Brizy Cloud dashboard. And yours will look a little bit different from mine, because if this is the first time you'll be signing up, you'll not see anything here except this one that says Create New Project. I already have a few projects, and projects is a very grand word for websites. So all of these squares that you see with the gradient from the light blue to purple, they are actually websites, full and functional websites that you can access live. And the others include pop-ups as well as stories. And we'll cover that a little bit near the end. What we can do from here is to create a new project, your first website, and begin working. But I think it would be good just to have a quick overlook of this dashboard here so you can familiarize yourself with what is here in case you need to come back and check out a few things. That we'll do in the next chapter. We are back, and we said we're going to be looking a little bit at the dashboard before we start creating our website. At the top, you will see this area called My Personal Projects. It's actually referred to as Workspaces. And note that this is a pro feature, but why I want to just let you know about this is that this is an absolute amazing feature if you have different clients you are working with and you want to give them access to the websites, but you don't want them to touch each other's websites. Then you create a workspace or also just a folder, put all their stuff in those folders and give them access to those folders. That's great. And this is how you can manage all the projects, because remember, you can create unlimited websites here. Great way to organize everything, but remember, this is a pro feature. With that also, but also included in free version, you get some access to team members. Now, team members is not something we'll be doing here, but this is where you add more people who can come and edit the website you are working with. But you can give them certain restrictions. They don't only have to edit, they can just view it. They can make changes to the content. They can be designers, or they can have full control over that. Next to that, it's a little bit about your profile. You can click here on what's new to go and see the change log when there have been changes. And then also platform status is where you can see how it's going, if the website is up and running, if there's any troubles in the world of the internet. Then here, this is your dashboard area for all your projects. In Brizy Cloud, websites are called projects because there is more than one kind of project. You will note up here, we have websites, pop-ups, and stories. And all of them are more or less the same, but also at the same time, they are not. They use a different builder for each one of them. They have a little bit of a different function. So you can create them. You can create websites, you can create the pop-ups and the stories, and they will all appear here. Currently, I only have websites here. And every time you create a new project, you basically create a new website. If you have many, you can search here in the search projects area. Also, you can filter here with most recent, alphabetical, or the date created. Now we've gone through this, and we'll basically be leaving this area once we've created our new project and then build out our website. And when we're done with the website, we'll come back here and have a look at some of the other things like leads, where you collect the information from forms that people fill in and send you, as well as how you can delete any of these projects that you are working on. Let's create our new project, our new website in the next video. At the very beginning, I mentioned how intuitive the dashboard is. You're not going to find any other website builder on the market that is just drop and go. You can make it as you come in. Sign up, and the first thing you do when you get here is just click on Create New Project, and you can click anywhere there. I explained in the previous video that you actually have 3 kinds of projects: websites, pop-ups, and stories. For the majority, you're going to be creating websites, and we select Create. In no time, it will drop in one there for you, and if this is the first time you'll be creating your website, it will say project number 1. And the best thing to do is first go ahead and let's change the name. Let's call this one Agency Demo 23. And you're done. You don't need to do anything else here. You've created your project, you've given it a name, and now we need to start building it out. We'll tackle that in our next chapter. It is the easiest website you've ever created, right? As we did in the previous chapter, but now you actually have to go build it out. To do that, select Edit Project, and this takes you into the world of the builder. So we're leaving the Brizy Cloud dashboard, we're entering the builder, and now you can begin making your website. This is the Brizy Builder, and whenever I say builder, I refer to this interface. A few things to note here is that you have this canvas. This is where the web page will be built. It says start building your page, and when you select it, it opens what I refer to as the block manager. Here you get all these pre-made blocks that you can use, but note that some of them are pro. For that you will need a pro license, but the free ones really pack a punch. You also have pre-made layouts that we're going to be working with in this tutorial, and then there's also saved blocks and global blocks. From here, you will select create your own when you start building from scratch. But if you want to select one of these pre-made ones, you simply click on it and it will drop it onto the page. Look how easy that was. And now you can just go ahead and change out all the content. With this, your canvas then, you have a block, always a block, and you access the block settings here in the top right corner of a block. So if I bring in another block, you will see that I also have the same settings options for that block over here. On the left is the sidebar with a lot of tools. The most important one is probably this plus that says add elements. And these are all the things that we will be using to build out this page. If I go to this block and I hover over it, you will see that dotted bounding box surrounding each one as I hover over it. That indicates an element, and those elements we're getting over here. And to bring it onto the page is a simple matter of click, hold, and drag it to the page and drop it where you see those thick gray lines. Don't worry, we're going to cover this in more detail in the upcoming chapter. Below this, we have a reorder function where you can easily grab these blocks and move them around in the order you want. Below that is global styling, which we'll cover in detail. And then you also have something called a collaboration tool, which we won't be covering here. Responsive design gives us control over design for tablet and mobile devices. And then you have options here if you are logged in, if you have some membership roles that you can assign who can view and who can view what. Below that, you have back dashboard. This will take you back to the area we just came from, as well as shortcuts, contact support, and more about Brizy. The other important part of this page is here over in the bottom right corner, the page options toolbar. It gives you functions like saving the page, putting it in draft, and then also previewing it. And you have shortcut keys for undo and redo, as well as viewing disabled elements. But then one feature here, which is not to be overlooked, is this hamburger icon menu here in the top left corner that says CMS. CMS stands for Content Management System. It's basically the control center of your website. Whereas Brizy Cloud Dashboard is the dashboard for all your projects. This CMS is the dashboard for this specific website. Select it and it will open all the settings. Here you will create extra pages for your website. You can create posts if you want to set up blogging. You can create internal stories and pop-ups, which are different from the ones we saw on the dashboard because these are made within the website. You can add users and then give them membership roles. You can even go ahead and create custom assets, a pro feature though. Then below this here at the bottom, you will see project settings. We'll get back to this as well, where you have to bring in some information about your website so it can behave properly when people are looking for it online through Google Chrome or Edge any of the browsers that people may be using, Safari, Firefox, Brave, whatever. And this is the entire interface overview of Brizy. Let's not spend too much just looking at stuff. Let's actually start doing something, and we get into the builder basics, how you build up stuff within Brizy Cloud in the next chapter. In this chapter, we're going to look at builder basics. I'm going to show you in a real short crash course how you can go ahead to build out your website. In the previous chapter, I had brought in these pre-made blocks. You remember? We went to the bottom, clicked on add a new block, and you got these blocks that you can go through. Also here on the left, you can go through the categories and then even switch between light and dark mode if you want to choose something different. Now, these are good and well when you want to have some ideas, but it's actually very crucial that you understand how the builder works. Otherwise, you won't know how to make these changes or how the developer made these pre-made blocks. Then when you want to bring in your own stuff, you just don't know how to do that. Let's clear everything on this page first. Now, you can do that in a number of ways. You can delete each of these blocks independently. The block settings, top right corner of the block, and then select the trash can that says delete. We can do that for all of them. Later on, I'll show you another way how you can clear the entire page. Let's start this from the beginning. Start building your page. And from the block manager, you'll see we have this one, create your own. Select, and this gives us an empty block. These little dots you see here, this is your canvas working area. The content can go in there. Click on the plus in the middle. It opens the elements panel on the left. And these are the elements that we will be using to create our own blocks. Note, and I've mentioned it a few times, you're going to see it pop up over the place within the free version, is that you have these little pink dots. They indicate that these elements, they are pro plan elements. You need to subscribe to the pro plan if you need them. I always say, try the free version first. Go for it and see how much you can do before you just jump into pro. Make sure you are very comfortable with it. Normally, we start with one of these grid elements, a column or a row. In most cases, you can just use the column one. Click, hold, and drag, and drop it into this area with the plus. It brings in these two blue containers, which are the columns. Inside the columns, you can bring in more columns, or you can build out your content. Bring in an image, you see here, click, hold, and drag, and drop it on one of the pluses, and this gives you a placeholder for the image. Every time that you bring an element onto the page, you need to interact with it to make changes to it. Simply click on it on the page, and you get an options toolbar for that specific element with features for that specific element. Some of them, like the delete and settings and duplicate, are going to be mostly the same across board. But on the left side here specifically, you will find those settings specific to this element. In this case, we're working with the image element, so click on it. And here we have an option to upload an image. I'll go ahead and do that. Click. And Brizy Cloud opens your Finder on a Mac or the Explorer on Windows. And then you choose the image that you want to bring in here. I'll grab this image and just say select. It's going to upload. And there you go. From here, you have settings. And again, every time you bring in an element, have a look at the settings you have here. For example, for this image element, I can zoom in. I have this selector here, to which is the focal point of the image. I can toggle on to open it in a light box, or even apply a mask if I want to add a little bit of flair to this one, like so. I'll put this one on fit. Very nicely done. I can also apply an overlay of colors here if I want a little bit of an artistic effect to it. Select this blue, then I have transparency here, reduce that, and I can build out a very good website with this. The link feature you will see a lot, and I'll get back to that later. But basically, here you link your hyperlinks. You can link other blocks within the page. You can link to pop-ups. You can create pop-ups within the Pro version. Awesome feature. Alignment is very standard that you can find. And then I mentioned the settings. Some settings here are pertaining only to this element, like we have width here, which is similar. And there you go. And then you have height. You can also adjust that. Styling gives you the regular guise that brings in padding and margins as well as applying corners. Under advanced, you have functions like whether you want to appear it on a desktop and also assigning a CSS ID. Next to that, you have effects. And in the free version, you have the entrance animation effects. We'll also cover that a little bit later. So we've brought in this one. We can bring in some more. Let's bring in a text element and we put it in the column on the right. Click, hold the text element and drag it and let go. Select it to interact with it and you see this toolbar looks a little bit different as it's adjusting for text. To work with text, you can select all of it and type in your own text. Then go to the text element all the way on the left. Change the font if you want to. Change the size. You can assign here the weight. You even have typography presets. If I want to go heading 1, it's a preset done for the global typography. Change the line height. You have the color of the text over here and many other features, alignment, bold, italics. And again, you have here the link. You see these are again repeating with a few distinct features, but then you have the padding margins. And that's how it's going to work. To bring in elements inside a column that is stacked, you simply go and bring in another element, let's say a button in this case, click, hold and drag, and hover in the area you want to place it until you see that thick gray line appears. And drop it, and there you go. And this way, very easily, you go ahead and bring in the elements you need to build out your block the way you want it, and space them, more control, blocks in blocks, and build out your block from scratch. And once you are done with that block that you've created, you go ahead and bring in another block. These are the block basics. There's really nothing more to it, and you cannot break the builder. So I always advise people, if you don't know, just go ahead and click away and go crazy with the settings because you cannot break what you're doing on this page. The worst that can happen is that you have to delete it and start over. I've brought in 2 image placeholders here. Let's add some images for that just to finish up with this little block that we've built. Not the best one in the world, but good for presentation purposes. And then in the next chapter, let's have a look at what we do in terms of publishing this page so that other people can access it on the internet. In this chapter on our Brizy Cloud Starter set, we are going to look at how you save your page and then how to preview it. Notice here in the bottom right-hand corner, it says Save Draft. Every time you create a new website within Brizy Cloud, you come in, it's going to give you a draft page. A draft page basically means you can work here and nobody out there outside your computer will ever know about this page. It's not available on the internet. At this moment, you will see that the Save Draft is actually highlighted. Click on it and it will spin, and after the spin, it's grayed out. That is an indication that you have saved everything and that there is no new changes on the page. If I make any pages on the page, I'll click here on the icon. I'll align it by clicking on the alignment. Notice immediately the Save Draft lights up again, telling you that there are changes on the page and you haven't saved it. Click on Save, and now you've got a good save again. Next to that, you have the option to publish the page, and this means that the page will go live. People will be able to access it if they have the URL to this page. I mostly work in the publish page. It's very rare that I use a draft, but this is your own workflow that you can decide on. What I do whenever I come in here is I immediately just put it on publish page. And note that it switches now here to say update. This means that your page is live, and the same functionality will work here. If you make any changes, I'll go ahead, click on the color and put it on a different color. See, it lights up and it tells you there are changes on this page. Click on update. And now we go and view it on the front end where people will actually visit your site to see how it will look. Next to this update, you will see we have a function for preview. I urge you to learn the shortcut key. On Windows, Control-Shift-P. On the Mac, that's Command-Shift-P. It's one of my favorite shortcuts. Click on it, and it opens a new tab in your browser. No surprises there. That is exactly what we had expected. If we go back and we make some changes, let's add an overlay to these two images as well. I'll reduce the transparency. What color can we add for this one? Let's give it this rose. And then update. Click on the preview again, or Control-Shift-P, Command-Shift-P. And no surprises, we see our update here appear in the preview. I mentioned the shortcut there for the preview, Control-Shift-P, Command-Shift-P. Let's talk in the next chapter about more shortcuts because they will really speed up your process and make your building experience much more enjoyable. Welcome back to the Brizy Cloud Starter Package. We have a quick look at shortcuts within the builder. Many people don't use shortcuts. I know for some people it feels a little bit cumbersome. I am a big fan of shortcuts, and I think the most important shortcut you should learn is saving your work. Control-S, Command-S. Sometimes when you hover over any function within the builder like this preview, you will actually see it will tell you something like Control-Shift-P. But you're not always going to get those tool tips, and there is a way to find out where all the shortcuts are. Go to the sidebar on the left at the bottom, select this arrow, and you will see the option for shortcuts. And this will give you a layout of the keyboard. And in Windows, it's going to show you Control. On Mac, it's going to show you Command, and you can go through these. The ones that I use the most is the save function, which is Control-Command-S. The second one is undo. I use undo quite a lot. Control-Z, Command-Z. Then, like the preview I just showed you, Control-Shift-P is a very popular one I also use. And then another one that I use when I'm doing the design for responsiveness to tablets and mobile is Control-Command- or Control-Command+. In the chapter on responsiveness, I'll show you how that works. Many of these other shortcuts will also come in handy. If you ever forget about the shortcuts key, it actually has its own shortcut key, and that is Control-Command? Remember, you have a shortcut. What is it? ? So Control-Command ? And voila, there it is. In the next chapter, we'll look a little bit deeper into the pre-made blocks, how it is categorized, and how you can use it within the builder to build out your website. In this chapter, we talk about the pre-made blocks. We've actually touched on it. Add a new block, and it opens the block manager with all the pre-made blocks here. At the top, you will see we have these tabs. One is blocks, layouts, saved, and global blocks. All the pre-made blocks appear here under blocks. But note that here in the sidebar, you have two kits that you can choose from. People often forget about that, and there are some cool ones under kit 1. Now, they are the legacy blocks. When Brizy was first released, these were the very first blocks that came with Brizy. I still come here a lot. I love them. They are great wireframes to use if you need something on your page to get going with. Note that under these kits, whether you are using kit 1 or kit 2, we have the styles. This jazzes up your design a little bit. The light will give you the light versions. And if you select dark, you're going to get the alternate ones of the light, but just a little bit darker. And below this, the categories. These are very common components for sections when you are building a web page, like the hero you're going to get at the top. If you have text areas, you just want to add some text. These are great. I use it all the time. Want to display your team? Then you have some images ready-made for the team. If you have a gallery, awesome as well. And again, just note that for many of these pre-made blocks, that you're going to see, they are locked with the Pro feature. But otherwise, select them. And now that you've learned how to work with elements, simply go ahead on these elements that come in, select them. And in this case, we have an image. Click on it, delete the image, and then bring in a new one. And that's how you start using these guys to build out your own website for whatever purpose you are building it up. I love using the pre-made blocks when I already have a unified design. They are great to add onto your bigger picture. And if you're talking about bigger picture, let's talk about complete website pages for an entire website, the pre-made layouts. That we'll do in the next chapter. Pre-made blocks we bring in one by one, and they are more focused on the category, whether it's a hero or whether it's a team or a testimonial. Let's go again and add a new block, and then at the top, this time go ahead and select layouts. Layouts are complete, fully pre-made design websites for you to use. Unfortunately, they are all locked, the multi-pages in the Pro version. And most people usually buy Pro and Premium versions of any product to get into these templates. You should have a look at them. They are absolutely stunning. If I go ahead and just click on this one here, it gives us, what is this, a furniture carpenter kind of shop. It gives us the 5 pages. I can select this is the home page. And then you have the preview here. Take the mouse cursor at the bottom and it will scroll down to show you everything. Next page, and it says there it's an about page. Nice, there's a team. And again, about function. This one is gallery, so we expect to see some images here. Services, so more about what kind of products they are making and what kind of services they can offer. And then usually the final page is the contact page with the form that will allow people to contact you. These are the pre-made pages for this one called Carpenter. And there are over 100 to choose from and many more to come. You can see the categories here on the left. Food, if you're working something for a restaurant, just look at this stunning one over here. What is this one called? Resto. Really love it. Great design. Massively nice. Click back to layouts. And of course, we've learned that they are locked in Pro. But when we do something in Brizy Cloud Pro, I will show you more because I love the inspiration that these websites give me. However, not all is lost. We still have free. And it says 9, but I can tell you, as much as I look for that 9th one, I only find 8. These 8 are one pages, so it's not multi-pages that you get like the About and Services page. It's a one-pager. But if you have followed any of my tutorials before, you know I'm a big proponent. I support one-pagers all the way because I think it's much more accessible if you have a small shop and people are accessing your website on a mobile device. That makes it easy on a phone. They just have to stay on one screen. They don't have to navigate between pages. It's very, very convenient. So I like one pages, even though I do make the multiple pages all the time. We get 8, not 9, I guess 8. And we're going to be working with these guys. Let's click on them. This first one, birthday. Okay, so it's an event one and you go through it and we see the page. Okay, this is not what we had in mind. Let's click on back to layouts and then we select free and we can go through the rest of them. Well, not the biggest choice in the world for the free versions, but we are going to use one of them in the next tutorial to bring onto the page. Before we bring in the one pager, let's close the block manager here and get rid of these blocks that we've created. Previously, I told you to clear your page. You can go here to the block and delete it. There's another way. You can go to the reorder blocks in the sidebar on the left, and there's also an X for delete on the right of each of these blocks. In the event where you want to clear the entire page, there's a much easier way. And you may have noticed it when we went to the options here in the bottom right corner and selected to switch from draft to publish, and that you have this function here, clear layout. Select and page is empty. If you made a mistake and you need to get everything back, remember I told you there's an undo option over here, and the shortcut for that is Control Z, Command Z. So it's not lost if you by mistake cleared everything out. But in this case, we do want them all gone. So click on clear layout and be gone. This brings us to the next chapter where we will be bringing in an entire template so we can begin working. Let's bring in the template that we will be working with for our demo in this starter for Brizy Cloud. Again, you should know the routine by now. Start building your page. You can use the pre-made blocks, but we're going to use a nice little layout already. Select here on layouts. Then we go to free, and the one that we'll be using is this one called BizGo. Select BizGo. You can search through it, see the different sections, and then nothing more to see here. Go ahead and select import this layout. Before I do that, I want you just to take a look at the kind of font that is being used here. And then also the color scheme. You can see that it's blue, the buttons and the text, and then we have a dark blue overlay for some of the blocks here at the bottom as well. And the reason I want you to have a look at that is because it's going to change when we click here on import this layout. So go ahead and click on import this layout. And there you go. You see things have changed. For starters, the text is very different. We had a serif font and now we have a sans serif font. And now our blue has turned to purple. Quite different here. But it's still the same template that we've looked at, but things have changed. And before we talk about that, which will be in the next chapter, let's have a quick look at the content that we have here. At the very top, this is very standard for any page, is our hero section or hero block. It's nice and impressive, and it tells you immediately what this business is about. Below this on a landing page, you as quickly as possible want to tell people a little bit about the business as well as the benefits of doing your business. And that's why you see words like 100% success and delivering exceptional quality work. You can even put growth in there if you wanted to. Then maybe a few more solutions that the company offers. And here you have a full width section with a background image and then a play button. This will be linked to a video, and we'll add YouTube here so that it can take you to some promotional video. The ever so very important testimonial section. But what is important about this one is that this is a very special kind of block. It's actually just a basic block, but we call it a block slider. You can see that we have two dots there, and then we have the navigation arrows on the left and right. And I select, and it goes to another testimonial. And this can be set to autoplay so that it will keep sliding through, or you can have it manual that you slide through like that. Below this one, we have a few brands, and this is probably the brands you work with, a little bit of social proof, and then some more boasting about why people should be doing business with you. And then here, just a call to action, basically telling people to do business with you. So what is missing here, in my opinion, is a personal touch, and that will be a team section. I think, especially with the small concern, you want to bring in that personal touch. We're going to bring in a team section, and we'll do that with a pre-made block. Like I mentioned earlier, that's what the pre-made blocks are great for. Switch it out a little bit, bring in a different flavor, or bring in, like in this case, something that you feel is missing. But then what I think is truly important here is a contact form section so that people can actually reach out to you and that you can collect their information, also known as leads. And that we're going to build from scratch so that you can get a little bit of practice again with how to do that from scratch. But this brings us to the question that I've kept to the end of this chapter. Why did the color change? And that has all got to do with a concept within Brizy Cloud called global styling. Go to the sidebar on the left and you see the paintbrush, select that. And from here, notice that we have this purple that you also observe over here. If I go to any of these text presets and I select paragraph, scroll down, you will see it's set to overpass. If I go to the heading, let's like a heading 1, let's choose a heading 2, also set to overpass. And if I hover over any of these texts, click select, go to T for typography, you may guess already it's set to overpass. Now, this global styling is set by default whenever you create a new project in Brizy Cloud. And that default is called overpass. Go to the styling at the top where you see current style, it's set to overpass. And there are a number of other presets below it. Let's select magazine and see how this updates in real time. Actually, I love the magazine look for this. If I go to paragraph now, you will see it's a different one, red hat text, and the heading is set to DM serif text. Let's choose another style. Graceful. Also not bad. I really like the graceful style here. And that is what global styling does. When you create your website, you set your styles according to these swatches and you set your text according to these presets. And then later on, if you want to make changes, you just change it over here and it will update automatically across this page. And if you have a multi-page site, it will do so across all of those pages. There was a time you couldn't do that. You had to go and do each one individually. But nowadays, it's really common. You find it everywhere. But that's why it is important to understand why the color has changed. Let's put it back on Overpass. And the question is, how can I bring in that global styling set for this BizGo one that we have used? The best way to do that is to bring it in again. And there's a setting within the template before you import it. You may have seen it. Clear out this one first. We go to the settings and select clear layout in the bottom right. Clear out the page. Then select start building your page. Go to layouts, select free, and we go to BizGo again. This time, before you select import this layout, you check this one. Replace global styling. And now what Brizy Cloud will do is it will import this template and it will also bring in the styling specifically for this one as a preset. Go ahead, import this layout. And now everything works perfectly. It's the fonts that we saw. It's the colors that we saw. Go to the sidebar, select the styling, and note that current style is now set to the name of this template, which is BizGo. You can see from the drop down, it has added it here at the very bottom. If you want to make changes and bring in other styles, you can still go ahead and choose from these presets. But mostly you're going to work from the go with the BizGo style set. You can see the colors over here. And then their font is set to Montserrat for the paragraph. Let's see their heading is set to Tinos, different kind of font. I've never used that one before. And that's how they've built out this one. Does it really matter? Because you're going to change it out anyway to your colors and your fonts. I think for me it matters because I see the image in the template library. Then when I bring it in, it looks a little bit different, throws me off. So it's a good idea to bring it in with the global styling as the developer intended. So it makes it easy for you to spring from that to what you want to design. And that is our page fully important. Now we need to do what's the important parts and make it our site. When it comes to that, there's basically two things you do. First is the styling. Second one is the content. Because we work with the global styling, there's two parts to that. The one is color and the one is typography. In the next chapter, we're going to first change out the colors. And then in the one after that, we'll work on the typography. Global colors. And when I design a website and I work on my color theme and I work on my fonts, I usually make a little document in Word just so that I have all that details with me. The only changes I'm going to be making to this website is to change the three colors that were used to bring in the accents. And I changed them with these three colors with their codes next to it. You're going to set that up by going to styling, click on the color like this blue, and you see it's associated with this blue. Over here, we can move it down so we can see all the blue here. Select it and a color picker appears. There's a number of things. You can grab this color picker and move it around. See how it changes as I move it around. Real time. If I put it there up in the corner, I can grab the use slider. And that is if you don't really have anything in mind and you just want to see how it will look. Updates in real time. Another thing that you can also do is grab this color picker down here. Select it. And hover anywhere on the page, images, text, whatever. And the little eyedropper there, let's select this orange down here where we see that book. Select it and you see it updates. Ooh, that's a very nice one. I like the orange-blue combination, one of my favorite kind of theme partnerships, if you can call it that. But I've got my corporate identity already set out here. So I start with something that is called the dark olive. I make up these names. And then here, where we have the code, the hex code for the color. Select it and then paste. And it will update to the color we'll be using. Let's go to the next one. dark teal. Grab that, Control copy, and then I'll go to the second one. I'll paste that. And it's updating. You can see here the delivering of exceptional quality work has also updated. Not very in your face, a little subtle. And then I've changed this one. And I've added, this one is also teal. So it's basically the same color that I've added there. No changes. Let me just check these. Now, why I didn't change the others is because they weren't used in most cases within this design. You don't see this light blue, you don't see that light rose. And these three, they are very standard. I like the white. This is a gray, which usually sets the paragraph. And then this is an off-white, a little bit of tint of gray in there. I like these three colors. I usually will leave them. So if I needed more color variation, I would have brought it in here. There is one thing that I see the developer forgot to do. If we go to the top, you will see that here, this color still remains as this dark blue. And that is because if we go to the settings of the block and select colors, you will see the overlay is a gradient and it's set not to any of the swatches. What I will do is I will grab this one and I will set it to this swatch. And the one on the right, I will set it to white. Right, so now we have changed and also locked this in. So any changes we make in the future over here to any of these swatches will easily update across this page. We don't have to come in and change the color. And when you are designing something new, I also recommend that you do that. Create your global colors here, assign them as you are designing the web page so that if you do decide to change it later on, it's going to be very easy to replace it. I'm a person who's constantly changing colors. My own personal website, I kind of redesign it every 2-3 months. And by using the global colors, makes it very easy to shorten what would have taken you hours to do it in a few minutes. That is the colors. Let's talk about the typography. We want to change that to Lato. Let's do a quick overview of what happens with typography. I'll go to the bottom, I'll click on add a new block and create your own, and then drag in a text element. This brings in the text element with some placeholder text. Click in it and then go to T for typography. And note that the default setting of this is paragraph. Also note if you go to color that it's set to second from the right. If you want to assign a specific color for your text, let's say I want to make it the same color as this dark green. Let's go to the dark green, double click on it to select it, copy Control-C, Command-C, and we go and we paste it here. Observe what happens to this text. It immediately updates to that color. Now, when I bring in a text element again in the future, it's going to take that color. So remember that second swatch from the right will give you the default color for your paragraph text. Go again to the T for typography and note that under that we have a few other settings: subtitle, above title, heading 1, heading 2, and so forth. These are all presets. If I select heading 2, heading 1, it's going to jump to something much bigger and it's going to set it to Tinos at 80 bold, 1.2 line height, minus 1.5 letter spacing. Where does it get these settings from? This is the global typography. Go to the styling and over here we have all these presets. Select heading 1 and you note here it is set to Tinos. You have the size here, the weight, the line height and the letter spacing. All these changes are made here. So what you basically do in Brizy when you build out a site from scratch is that you set up your presets here. When you build out something, you just come and go to typography and select the preset that you want to use in that case. If you make changes in the future, don't do it here. Go over to your global styling typography and make the changes here so that it easily updates and quickly across your entire website. Delete this block and now we bring in our font. And if you look here in my document, it's Lato. All I am going to do is go to the styling. I'm happy with the sizes of all of these guys here. So the size here of the font, the letter spacing, I'm going to leave all of that. The only thing I want to change is the font itself. Go to styling, and then we start at the top with paragraph. Look for Lato, and it should be there, and select it. That one is on Lato. We go to the next one, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go through all of them, find Lato, and I don't even care where it is on the page. I don't need to know. All I need to do is change it and see how quickly that one changed. And as I will be working through the content soon, I can make any changes to that by coming back here. But you will need to go and change all of them, because you just don't know whether the developer used a heading 5 or a heading 6 or an above title or a below title somewhere. Especially this button. I often miss this button, and then I'm so confused later why my text of my button is different than the rest. And that's it. Look at that. Incredible how quickly we had made those changes to the text. I can still see some text here on a different setting, and that's Montserrat Alternates. And if you see that, which you will have to do as you go through the page, come around and put it on Lato, or what you will do is put it on something like paragraph so that you can lock it in and make sure that the settings remain the same. This one as well, I'll go ahead, put this subtitle, work through it. Which one is this? Let's see here. This should be Lato, great. And the rest all look like Lato to me. So only the changes to those two pieces of text. And this one, let's check this one just to make sure it should be Lato. Great. Nicely updated. We set the global colors. We set our global typography. Now that we've worked on the style of our web page, it's time to start changing out the content. Truly make it ours. Put some identity in it. And that we'll do in the next chapter by looking at the text content, and the one after that will be images. In the previous two chapters, we had changed styling, namely the colors and then also our typography. But now we have to come to what's really the meat of your website, and that is the content. And there are a number of components when it comes to content that we want to change. In this video, we just look at the text. Now, the text is always done with a text element. This is the demo site to which we are working to. Let's go back to our project. As I scroll down, we've seen that you have text everywhere. Whether it's a heading or whether it's a paragraph, it's all done with the same text element. And if you want to bring that in by yourself, you go here to the Add Elements on the left, and that you will see under Essentials, there is text, because it is pretty much the essential element for your website. But to work with it, you simply go ahead wherever you see text and select it like so. And now you can see it as any other editor like Word or Google Docs, whatever you are used to. You're going to work more or less the same with that. The first thing to do is probably go ahead and change the content. What I would recommend when you're working with a demo site is to select all the text. You can do that by click, hold, and selecting it like you would. I prefer two other types of shortcuts. The first one is to select all, and that is your Control-A, Command-A, and that will select all the text for you. My personal favorite is a triple click, 1, 2, 3, and that will select all. But in this case, because there's actually a line break applied here, it only selects the first line. So we go for Control-A, Command-A. Now go ahead and type in the text. And my text is gone. I can type, nothing is happening. A small glitch. All you need to do here is click back in the text element and type in, "We take you to new heights." And what you will have to do in this case is also go ahead, select the color and put it on the color again that you want. To obtain that line break that you had seen earlier, the way we do that is we go to the settings here, styling, and then here on the right where you see padding, we decouple all the sides, and then here on the right I will select percentage and I'll put it on something like 35. That should give us a nice line break. Let's put this on 40, even better. 40, there we go. And this is how you go about changing all of the text. Let's choose another one here, Solutions for All Businesses. I'll triple click on this one. We make you grow daily. And that's it. I really cannot think of any other thing except just select the text and change it. And the reason you shouldn't go ahead and make any other changes here is because you've set up the style of this text here with the typography. If you don't like the color that the developer had chosen here, you can go to the color settings here and choose another one. So if I prefer this one, okay, that's a little too light. It's not good for readability. Let's choose this one here. Okay, let's keep the dark one. But I do like this bronzy color that they have in there. You go through all of this wherever you see your text. Here is your testimonial. Check the benefits. Let's select this and say our specialty. Go through all of that. As easy as that. And that's what you do when you want to change the text. If you have a place where you want to bring in some additional text, let's say one more paragraph here, you can do that by either going to this text element and duplicating it to keep it in the same format. If you want to do it from scratch, let's delete it. You go to your add elements, click, hold and drag the text element, drop it in, select it, change the text to what you want, and then go to T for typography and make sure you put it on the styling that you want. In this case, let's say if we put it on a subtitle, it's similar to paragraph, above title, something different, right? Doesn't really match there, but just to show you how you can bring in your own text and work with it. Make sure you do this very carefully. When you work with a pre-made template like this, it is very easy to overlook something on the page. And then later on, it's like, whoa, did I type that? After text, let's look in the next chapter at how to switch out your images. Welcome back to our Brizy Cloud Starter course, and in this chapter we are going to look at how you switch out your images. We scroll all the way to the top, and at the very top, the first image actually on this page that jumps to you is the logo. In fact, it doesn't jump to you because you can hardly see it. You definitely want to change out the logo. Anywhere that you see an image, you simply click on it and it gives you again all the options for that element, which in this case is the image element. Select it, and in the box you will see that there's a thumbnail generated for that image. Click on delete, it will remove it, and then you click on this upload to bring in your Explorer. I have this logo here that's going to contrast very nicely on our page, or on this hero section at least. Select it and select open. And there you go. From here you can play around a little bit with how you want it to look. You have the option between setting it to a custom size where you can change it around and set your aspect ratio, or you select original. I don't think we're going to see a major change for original here. To resize it, you select it and you see those bars. You can grab it and drag it, or you can go to the settings and change it over here. That's nice. I like it like that. I'm just going to leave it. The next image is this hero image in the background. Every block has a place where you can put an image for the background, and that is done with the block settings. We go to the block settings in the top right corner, select it, and then second from the left, you have your background. And here again, you will see that the thumbnail is generated. Delete that, click upload, and here I have this creative for the hero that I want to bring in. Working with images, you have one nice little feature, and that's this little dot here. I call it the focal selector. Wherever you place this will determine that this part will always be the focal point. So it doesn't matter what size of the monitor it is viewed on, it will make sure that this stays in focus. And I think a good idea here is to keep it on the center guy to make sure that he's always the main focus here. Very nice. You can change other things here like size, parallax, etc. And that's it. That's how you change the background. You can see we also have video and maps here. And you can even go ahead and have a hover and change out the image. Set a different image for the background. And that's it. So for this one, let's go ahead and change out all the images. Next one we select. I'll do it again. I'll delete this one. Click on it. And we bring in the about. This is our about section. Let's just make sure that looks good. I'll use my focal selector, make sure their faces are always in there. Next one, this happy clappy guy. Give him some retirement and bring in the next one, services. This is our services. Brilliant. call to action section is a block. So we go to the block background, take that away. And I see we have set this actually as a video background. So here we will add a video link in the upcoming chapter. Nice. And then testimonial. We have this dude here. Let's select him. Change him out. And what I'll do here is reduce the zoom. And to go to the second slide, this is a block slider. Simply click here on the slide handle on the right. And then we select her. Same procedure. And she is testimonial number 2. And same thing, because the zoom here is set, I'm going to bring it back to 0 or put it at 100% aspect ratio. Here you have the brands. Now this is where you brag usually about who you're working with. These are also images. You go ahead, you bring in your own brands. We have another background here. Let's go and change this one out. That happy clappy guy is just everywhere. This is our hero background for this one. And you've seen I have a few more images. We'll be building out the team section soon. Here you see we have this guy's head cut off. Doesn't look good. We grab the focal selector, put it somewhere on his chin that at least he can come in a little bit into view. There we're done. And that's how you switch out the images. Again, if you want to bring in your own image onto the page, simply go to the add elements on the left. Image is next to text because it is super essential. Click, hold and drag and drop it where you see that gray line. And then again, simply click on it, go ahead, bring in the image you want. Let's delete this one. Now that we've worked with the images, we're going to look at icons because icons is a graphic and there are a few icons on this page which we will need to change out so that we can make sure it looks good for our page. Let's look in this chapter at the icon, and actually you're going to see that we have places here on the page where you will think it's an icon. Indeed, it is an icon, but this is a special icon. It's part of what we call an icon box, and these are 2 different elements. To find the icons we will be working with, let's scroll all the way down to the bottom of this page, and here we have these social media icons that we will be working with. Select the first one, which is Twitter, and you will see our options toolbar appear, and all the way to the left is the icon settings. The first thing we'll do is let's switch out. Let's say we don't have a Twitter account. Simply click here on the icon, and it gives us outline versus glyph. Search for our YouTube. We have a YouTube channel, and we select that. And you see it quickly changes that one. Let's click on Pinterest and change this one. And we can say, maybe we have a Vimeo channel. We can select Vimeo. You can change the size here of the icon you are working with. You can give it a background, which it already has. You see that little circle. And also note that we have a hover effect. That is all done over here at the colors. Select the colors and you have the default state, which is labeled as normal. And under that, you have the hover state. I select hover and you see it gives me the background with the color that I can change. As I hover over it, you see that that bright teal is actually the color that is in there. So if you don't like that bright color for that, you have to change it. And when you do that, best advice is to go to our global styling and change it out there. So let's go and do it, and let's put it on the same color as this darker one over here. I'll go to the styling on the left, select it. First go to our color that we want to copy. I'll select it, Control C, Command C. Then next to that, I'll select this very bright one and then paste. Same color, but this will be the one that's going to work then as our hover for this one over here. This, yes, it's the same, but now we have assigned it as the hover color for these icons. You can see as I hover over them, that is the color we have now. I like it. If you want to add another one here, select the last one and click on duplicate, and it will put it in line for you. So you can go ahead and change it out. Let's say this one is Discord. Let's scroll up. Here we have quick business growth. Oh, they're all the same. Same thing here. Select the icon. Let's go. Select it and search for something like planning. Let's see if we get something for planning. That's great. I'll choose this one. Next one, let's call this presentation. And then the last one, we will say money growth. So something like growth, we will need that. Let's see which one works here. I like this one, but I also like this. Again, a very quick way to change it out. Bring in your own icon by going to the add elements, and you will see icon is also here under essentials just below text. So click, hold and drag, drop it where you want it to go, select it, change out the icon, set the size, custom size over here, set the background, change the colors, and we will look at linking in an upcoming video because that's very important, especially with those social ones that we've had at the bottom. Now that you know how to work with icons, we tackle the icon box next, which isn't rocket science at all. The icon box. The icon box is similar to an info box in that you have an icon, text, and a button all combined into one, very easy to use with a few nice little settings. You can find it, go all the way to add elements, and under content, it's the first one. Very nice one to use, very easy to create those little info boxes with a little bit of a graphic, a heading, and some text. Sweet and simple. On this page, we have a few info boxes and they are used as bullets. Very nice way to create this kind of bullet effect. As I hover over it, you see that the box is all around both the icon and the text. Depending on what you want to edit, you have to select that part. So it seems like it's only one thing, but it's actually two. If you click on the icon, you see it highlights and puts those handles only around the icon and you get icon functions. If you go to the text and you select that, you get the text options bar. If you want to go to the info box options, here you see that little gray dot sticking out, which I cannot get to, and I'll show you soon how to get to that. And that will be the settings for the info box. Let's go to the icon first. The only thing we want to do here perhaps is change the color. So we go to the color and we choose this nice little teal, our dark teal. And we do the same for this one over here. And then change the text, same thing, select all the text, new text goes here. Same here. And now I want to maybe make a few changes to the padding of this info box or icon box. But the problem is that setting of the icon box is there in the top right corner. You see that gray little dot there? I just cannot get to it. And there's a shortcut how you go one level up if you cannot reach the settings. What you do is you select it like I did and then press escape on your keyboard. It will take you one level up and you see that's nicely highlighted and you have the settings for the icon box here. Select the settings and here you see we have the padding now for it as well as the margins. No changes I want to make here except to show you how to get there. Scroll down, here's another icon box that we have here. Let's change the icon out just to make it a little bit different. I'll see if we have a check. Yay, check we have. So let's choose this check. And we do the same for this one. And the same for this one. You have changed the text accordingly to what ChatGPT told you to do it. And then if you need to make any settings like add more spacing here, you go to the icon box settings and then you can add more margin here or change the padding. With the icon box out of the way, just below here, we have this little play button that is also an icon. But the purpose of this play button is to bring in a YouTube video so that when people click on it, it will open up YouTube for us. Let's look at how we achieve that with a link to YouTube in the next chapter. Welcome back. Let's have a look at how we bring in a YouTube link so that when people click on it, it opens YouTube. Let's make a few changes to this call to action section where we want people to click on this play button and take them to YouTube so they can watch a video of our company. I want to do a few design changes here, and remember, the world is your oyster. You can do whatever you want. So instead of this darker teal green that we have here, I want to change it to something lighter. This overlay we do by going to the block settings, and we go to overlay here and then select this one. I'm going to choose that. I like that one a lot. So that's good. Then from here, I'm going to go ahead, click on the icon, select the colors for the icon. This is the icon color, which is white. That's good. Then select background at the top. I'll put it on the green. And there we go. With that out of the way, we are going to bring in a YouTube link. First thing, let's grab a YouTube link. You can grab any video. I'll go to YouTube and select the three dots, select share, and then this link over here, select copy. With that link copy, we go back into Brizy, select the icon, and then from the options toolbar, select the link. You are going to have three options here, but essentially you only have two. The one on the right that says pop-up is a pro feature. You can see everything is locked here. And like I've mentioned, this is probably one of the reasons why I'll go pro, because pop-ups are kind of essential. You use them for many cases. I usually use it to put in a contact form so that when people want to contact me, the form is actually inside that. It's my way of trying to get rid of a little bit more spam. So that means that the pop-up is not useful in the free version. In the pro version, it is properly powerful. What we can do though here is put in our link where we want it to go with the URL, and then we'll look at this block one a little bit later. Select URL, here is the link, and this is the page you want it to go to. We're going to paste that YouTube link, Control V, Command V, and that's it. What you'll need to do is remember that you don't want people actually to leave your page, so you have to select open in a new tab, and you can leave this one. After you have done this, update it, preview it, Control-Shift-P, Command-Shift-P, scroll to our section where the video is, select it, and there you go. Opens a new YouTube with that video. What is this video? Strange one I've chosen there. Great. And that's how you add a YouTube link to your icons. Remember, this can be done to many of the elements. Let's jump back. You can do it with buttons. You can do it with text. Here with the text, you'll see the link icon appears there. You can do it with images. Again, the link icon appears there. Even with entire columns. Let's select this column here with the blue border. There it is. Wow, right? And that gives you a lot of flexibility in which areas on your page you want to have linked. In the next two chapters, we're going to add some more content. Though this pre-made page is perfect, I think it needs a few more things. And the one I want to add is a team member section so that people can have a little bit of a personal feeling towards my company, and also a contact form. Let's just see the bottom. There's no contact form area here. So I want to add a form area here where people can also send me messages. For the team member section, we're going to use a pre-made blog. And then for the contact section, we're going to build that out from scratch. In the next chapter then, let's do our team members. Team members unite. Let's put in our team on this page. And to do that, we have to bring in a new block. You can select add a new block at the bottom. I know that I want to put it here underneath this one. So between this last block and then the footer here at the bottom. As I hover between the two, you'll see that blue line with the plus. That tells me I can also add a new block there. Select it. This one we are not going to create from scratch. We are going to use one of the pre-made blocks. Here on the side, you have categories, and you see we have team here. So we can select the team. You have choices between light and dark, but then one that many people skip is the option to go for kit number 1. Select from under blocks, kit number 1, and then again, select team here. So in this case, if you wanted to use kit number 1, you can have a look also what's here. I really recommend that you don't forget about kit number 1. Having praised kit number 1, we jump back to kit number 2. We select team. And then we choose this one up here. I think this is a nice, clean little block and pre-made block that we can use for the team section. This is also free. That's why we can use it. You see the pro ones, they are locked. Now, the nice thing about the pre-made blocks is that they are already set to your settings over here in your typography. So these ones all the way to heading 1 and buttons and paragraphs that we set up at the beginning. If I select this heading here at the top and I go to T for typography, you will see it is set to heading 2. So I don't need to make any of those changes. Perfect. I love it. Everything else is just working out perfectly. So if you are happy with this heading up here, which I am, I'm going to leave that. Meet our talented team members. You can change it, of course, but I'm going to leave it. All you need to do is change their names and their images, and we did that already previously. So this is cheating at its best, but it's perfect and it works great for your site. No need to go and redesign all of this from scratch. Select the image and let's change out all our team members first. Bobiski, why did I call him that? Okay, and what's her name? Curious. Frodomono. Next one, Melagnano. And then this one, last one, Susanella. Susanella. Are these real names or did I just make them up? Images changed, then you can go ahead and change the name. So I'll click here and call him George McClay. And he is the CEO, because CEOs lately can run small companies. He is Toby Book, and he is the CFO, and so forth. So Grace Fowler, art director, you change it out. And that's it. Using these pre-made blocks, every time you think of some, you can go back in to the block manager, block library, have a look here. I mean, hero, features, contact, gallery. If you wanted to bring in some images again for your site, you can have a look here. The free ones, there are quite a number to choose from. And then if you go to kit 1, which everything is free in, let's look at gallery over here. You have a few more options here that you can choose from. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And that's it. We're done with our team member section. Then we'll build out something from scratch in the next video, which is the contact section. There's nothing more frustrating than going to a site that doesn't have contact details, right? I know that can be very frustrating because you go to a website, somebody has a business there and you just want to reach out to them or send them a message and there is just no way to contact them. I think when you have a website, leaving some form of sending an email or via contact form is an absolute must. That is the whole purpose basically of a website, is that you are reachable and that people can find you. Let's bring in a new block and we do this from scratch. I'll click here and then create your own. And what I first want to do is use this same heading that we have here at the top for the contact section. Click on this one, select duplicate, and now we have 2 of that. I'll grab the second one simply by click, hold, and drag, and I'll drop it here in this block, and that's easy move. Select it and type in contact us today. Below this, I'm going to put a map on the left and our contact form on the right. For that, we need 2 columns. Go to our add elements and under our grid section, we grab the column and drop that. And let me just see, there's a spacer here. You see that? We have the heading. As a hover here, there's an empty area, but we have the bounding box that indicates it's a spacer. So I'll select the spacer as well. Let's see the settings for this, 20 pixels. I can copy this, but let's do it from scratch. I'll go to add elements and spacer is under essentials. Click, hold, and drag. And just below contact us, I'll drop it. Select it, and there is a little dot that you can click and hold and drag to change the size. But we know we want it at 20 pixels, so we select the settings. I'll go there and type in 20 pixels. Our columns are indicated by these blue bounding boxes. I'll put a map here in the left. Click on this plus to open our panel for us, and the map you'll find under Essentials. Here, click, hold and drag and drop it. And to interact with the map, select it. And this map is super easy to use. Go to the settings on the left and type in here what you want. So I'll just say Agency Bristol. I'm just making up things here. It will usually find something closest to wherever. And then you can set the zoom setting here. So if you want to zoom it out a little bit and you want to show, more of the country or more of the region. I guess this is zoomed out way too much. So let's go back to something like 13. Right, so there we go. It chose the Robert Half Recruitment Agency. Lucky guys, free promotion for you. This is more or less what you're going to do with the map. There are a few more settings here, but I think the biggest one you'll probably want to use is the resize function of the map. You select and note these little dots again, these handlebars. You can drag that, click, hold and drag, and that's how you increase the map or how you make it a little bit smaller. Up to you. If you go all the way, you see there's an option, view larger map. This is all dictated by Google, right? So these settings, how it looks, this is not done by Brizy. This is Professor Google telling you what's going on here. On the right, we bring in a contact form. Let's click on the plus, and contact form also very essential. So under Essentials, click, hold and drag the form element and we drop it. Let's start at the top. We want people to give us their email. Yes. Select this and you get the settings for this field. Note that this form element also has here in the top right corner settings just for this form element, the entire element. But we are working with these individual parts. So to do that, you have to select each of them. Go back to email, select it, and have a look what we've got here. On the far left is where you set the type. It's already set to email, indicates that the property of this field is an email address. If you don't add an email address in here, it will tell you there's an error. So it's important. Required, that's what you want. And spacing is this space between the fields. That is definitely not what you want. It was on 15, which I think is fine. Let's leave it on the default for purposes here. Under advanced, you can add a label, and the label is usually something at the top. So if you don't want the placeholder, you can take away the placeholder and then you have the label at the top. I'll keep it to what it was. And then you have background. So you can choose the padding size there in the back. You see this basically just changes the padding, medium and small. I like the small though, but let's leave it on medium. Next, I want to have a place where they can add their name. But you don't see a name option here. So we have to do that by ourselves. Select the email again, click on duplicate, and it will give us a new field and it titles it email-1. How do we change this to say name? Well, there's a blinking cursor, which means all you need to do is select the text and type in name. Then we go to the field options, and next to type, we have to put this on text. This is a small number of text, not a lot. So we put it on text. We need it. It is required and we're done. This one here is a select option field, which we don't need at all. Select it and then select delete and it's taken away. Finally, we have the place for the message. Select that and type in your message. And let's go to the field options on the left. It's set to paragraph because this is a longer amount of text. It is required. Yep, it is required. You want to send us a message. So let's add that and we leave that. Go to the button area, select the button text, type in send now, and I'm doing this in caps lock. And you can change the button settings over here. Probably the one that would be most interesting is if you go to the settings here, you have the option to change the width of this button. I do like this full width, but if you wanted it a little bit narrower, then you do that here, and then you have the alignment. Let's put that on the right. So I'll do that. You see, you have an icon as well, which you can change out here, and you can put it on the left, on the right, and then you have your color options. I like how it is already there in the default, but if you want to, let's go to the hover and let's give it a background of this color, and then to border, we say none, and let's see how that looks. There we go. Good job. Some extra white space here at the bottom. What can we do? I'll click here on your message, and with this options toolbar, go to settings, and I'm going to increase the height. A lot of people don't know about this, that you can do that with the paragraph section. This is how you determine how tall or how high this area can be. You can't do it for the others because that doesn't make sense. It's not a long paragraph. Those are just short text field. But for the paragraph 1, you simply go to settings and then you change the height up here. I'll click on the map, just reduce that one a little bit. Before we round off this section, click on the send button and all the way to the right, go here to this little plug icon that you see, which is integrations. Select that. And from our dialog box, you see that we have an option for email, apps, and reCAPTCHA. The email and the apps, they are all pro features. So if you wanted mailer integration, like with MailChimp or MailerLite or any of these other guys over here, you will need to get the pro version for that. Now the email is personal email notifications to your own personal email. So if somebody submits this form on your website, you will get that within your inbox. Where will you get it? We'll talk about that in an upcoming chapter, and I'll show you where to get these messages that people will be sending you within your leads area. For now, we are very happy with our contact form. We have this meet our talented team members, then contact us today. And I want to combine it basically into one block. So I'll just reduce the padding here by going to the bottom of this block, click, hold and drag in the blue area and reduce it. And also for this one, let's hover here, 75 pixels and reduce it a little bit. And I make this like one little section almost. Looks like one block, but you and I both know that these are 2 blocks. Seeing that we've created this contact block section, now it is important that we go to everywhere we have a call to action button and link this button to this section so that when people click on that button, it will automatically scroll to this block so that people can contact us. We'll see how to do that in the next chapter. In this chapter, we are going to create a jump link. A jump link is when you click on a link like this button and it jumps to somewhere on your page or even on your site. We are working with a one-page site, so it's only going to jump on this page. And where will it jump? Yes, Bobby, it will jump all the way to the bottom where we have the contact form. You know this, you've seen this on many websites. You click on a place to contact them, it scrolls to another area on the page, and then you fill in your details over there. To do that in Brizy is an amazing, easy way. Really, you're going to get goosebumps just seeing how easy it is. Let's go to this button, select it, and from the options toolbar, select the link. And now we go to this feature, block. Select block. And what is it doing? It's generating these little block thumbnails from all the blocks on the page. We want it to jump to the Contact Us section. So select that. And once you do so, you will see that it has this blue little bounding box. And that tells you it's done. You can even give it a name. Click there in block name and call it contact. And I'll do this all in small caps, no spaces. That's a good practice. Just call it contact. Let's see if there's any other little places it needs to jump. Yep, let's get started. We do the same here. Click on let's get started. Let's get it started. And click on block, scroll to the bottom. Oops. Of the thumbnails and select this one. It's actually very close. And you see already it draws that name from where we typed it in previously and it says contact. Let's test if this link works. Update our page, remember, Control S, Command S, and then preview it, Control Shift P, Command Shift P. Click on the button and look at that. It scrolls all the way to the bottom. Let's click on this button, which is not a far stretch to get to the bottom, but that's how you get there. That jump link very easily created with these block anchor links. While we're at the bottom, let's do something about these social media icons that we have here and link them. Also very simple. We have these social media icons at the bottom. The idea is that when people click on it, it will take them to those places of our social media. To do that, you've learned now how to do it. It's very, very simple. Click on it, go to the link option in the URL, you paste the link. I'm just going to put this https:// and we'll just make this youtube.com. And you're going to do the same for all the others. Instagram, Vimeo, Facebook, Discord, whatever. These will need to have links though, so that you can take them to those web pages. Once you've done that, select update, Control S, Command S, go to the front to view it. Scroll to the bottom. As you hover over the icon, you see you can click on it now. As I click on it, it goes to YouTube. In this case, remember, we want to make it open in a new page. Click on it, go to the link, and make sure Open in New Tab is selected. That way, it will open a new tab in the browser so that you won't navigate away from this page. Everything that I've wanted to do in terms of content on this page is done. My page is done for all intents and purposes. But there is a very important step that you have to remember at all times. And you can decide how you want to do that. And that is called responsive design. Responsive design means how will this page look on a tablet and a mobile? We'll tackle tablet next, and in the chapter after that, mobile. We'll do the two different, and I'll explain in the next chapter why it is important, even though you are using pre-made template, to come and have a look at how it will look on tablets and mobile. You know that when you go on a mobile device, the website will look differently, and that is called responsive design. We move things around so that it can look different, so that it can fit all these different devices. To do that, go to the sidebar on the left and you see this little icon. Select it and you have tablet. Select tablet. You see it changes to tablet and our display looks different. And then you can go again to mobile and you see mobile is very different. Let's first hop back to tablet and we'll focus on tablet. Why would it be important for you to come and have a look here? Now, these pre-made templates are made so that they can look good already on tablet and mobile. However, two things to consider. This was maybe made a year, 2, 3, 5 years ago, this pre-made template. And during that time, new releases came out. So new functions came in that may change a little bit of how it works. And that means that when you come to the responsiveness, it may not look 100% the way it should have looked when it was designed. So you will need to come in and make those changes. But the second thing is, especially when you start changing fonts, typography, things will move around on your page. Where the developer maybe only used one line of text, you may be using 2 lines of text, and that will push things around on the page. If you used a very narrow font and the developer used a very broad font, you will also see magnificent changes on your page. So that's important that you come here and have a look at those things. The third reason for me is sometimes you just disagree with how the developer styled it out for tablet and mobile. And I think that is probably one of the biggest reasons why you have to come and have a look. If we come here and we look at this, I think what we want to do here is again break this line here. I'll go to the heading, settings, and then you will see those things that you can change will appear. As I select this text, you see that this text options toolbar really reduced compared to what it will look on the desktop. And the reason for that is that Brizy is giving you only those things that you can change in tablet. So it removes all the other things you cannot. You don't have to hunt around for those things that you need. This is awesome. Only thing I want to do here is to change the padding. So I go here to the padding on the right. I decouple all the sides. I go to the right side. I'll put it again on percentage. And let's put it on something like 40% like we did previously. There we go. That's what we wanted. I think the rest looks good. You can make changes. If you go to T for typography, you see you can again change the size and everything. But remember, you don't want to change that here. If you want to change the size of this text, you go over to your styling settings here, go to the heading. Let's say this is heading 1, and then select tablet over here. You see, there it is, the 56. If I reduce that to something like 54, 52, then you see it changes there. Let's put it back on 56. This is where you come and make the changes, not on the page for your text. Otherwise, you lose that typography styling that you've put in there. Scroll down. Remember at the beginning, there was only one line of text here. Because we put in 2, it has caused it to look like this. So now we have this in 2 lines and this only in 1 line. So our text here, these two looks a little bit unbalanced. Let me show you a nice way to balance this out. I'll go here to this column, select the column settings, and then next to content, I'll select the one on the right, and you see it balances it out very nicely. This is something we changed. The developer didn't do it, but we have to come here and make those changes. On the image, if I look at the image, let's see if we can do something here. Do we want to put the guy in focus? We don't want the girl cut off. So there we go. I changed that focal selector, and that will only apply to the tablet. It will not apply to mobile or to desktop. And this way, like, look here, this is too big, doesn't look good. So let's go for T for typography. That is heading 4. We don't change it here. We go to the styling, select heading 4, select tablet, and we change the size. Look at that, nicely for all of them. And I think bold is too much. Let's put it on normal. There we go. That looks much better. And you go through everything and you change it out. Here we get to our team members that we brought in. This was a pre-made block, looks good. But again, here I want to reduce the space. So I'll go to the padding areas and reduce that. And the rest looks good. This here at the bottom is a little bit wonky. So let me remove space. Because we added one more icon here, you can see it breaks into 2 lines, which we don't want. Hover over the middle where you see the column handle, click, hold, and drag, and I'll drag it to the left. Then I'll go to this column and drag it to the right. And that's the way we bring it in. That is responsive design for our tablet. In the next one, let's have a look at how that will work for mobile. Responsive design for mobile is exactly the same like responsive design for tablets, and the same concept applies, and that is every change you make there will not affect your tablet nor your desktop. To go to mobile, go to the sidebar, and then we select mobile. Let's make a few changes at the top. I'll click here on the button. I'll put the button on the left so we have everything nicely left aligned, and then I'll go to the block settings. So I'll just hover here at the top until I get the block settings, and I will apply padding here on the right. You see, currently it's set to 25 pixels. I'm going to drop that. I'm going to increase that to 200. And to get to 200, you simply select it and type in 200. And this way we get everything to move nicely here. Our logo shrunk, and the reason for that is because it's in that column. So I'll just grab the column handle and drag it a little bit bigger. And then here we have a spacer. So let's reduce the spacer size. Nice, that works pretty good. Let's scroll down. This image at the top, that works for us. This all looks good. This looks good. And you can see that this pre-made website did a pretty good job for our mobile responsiveness. Go down, the brands, specialties. Okay, this Euro section looks good. Team members over here, pretty good. That looks nice. And then we have the contact us section. Though it looks okay to me, this contact us section, one thing I want to change. I prefer to have the form first and the map second when it is stacked. And to do that, whenever things are in columns, you can reverse the order. We know these two are in columns because we put them in columns adjacent to each other. I can go to either column options, click here, and then you see we have the reverse option here. Select that and boom, bada bing, that's it. And we have our mobile set up nicely. Go back to our desktop and let's lock in all our hard work by Control S, Command S, or clicking on Update. Many people like to bring in a little bit of flair to their websites through animation, and that is also available in Brizy. I'm not a big user of animation, and we can go into a long discussion over why I'm not a big user of animation. But if you like to bring in a little bit of entrance effects, and a few others. Let me show you how you do that. The best way is usually with text and images. Let's select this button over here, select settings, and then go to effects on the right, and you have two. You have entrance and hover. Entrance animation is when the page loads. The moment the page loads, this is the animation that will happen. You have bounce, fade. So let's select bounce, and you will see it has a bouncy effect. Fade, it will fade in. And below that, whenever you make a selection, you have other options here, like the direction. Currently, there's none. If I put it on down, you will see it goes down, fades in from down, let's say left, and it comes from the left, it fades in. Maybe that's what you want. You also have an option here to go big, and a big will be a big fade, I guess. And then duration, how long that fade will last. So let's put it on something more than a second, and when it will happen. The delay depends on how the page is loaded. So if the page is loaded, maybe give it 2 seconds, and only then the animation will happen. You see that waits a little while, and then it happens. So my criticism is always remember that on a mobile device, people scroll very quickly. If your animation delay is too long, they may not even see that animation happening. And the call to action button is pretty important. So keep that into consideration. In responsive design, you can easily turn this off. Let's have a look at another entrance animation, zoom. Let's take zoom. There you go, zoom, and we put this on right, so it will zoom in from the right. And let's make the duration a little bit shorter and also delay. And that should be quick. If you want to see that again, simply click here on replay animation, and it will do that again. The other effect that you can apply is hover. Now, hover is different to entrance. Entrance is as the page loads, and that thing will animate in. But hover is when somebody uses their cursor and they hover over it. This again will also not apply for tablet and mobile. And in fact, it's actually turned off for those two devices. But if you want to apply a hover animation for desktop, you are more than welcome. Let's have a look. Choose another button. Let's go down to this call to action button over here. Select it. Go to the settings, select effects, select hover. I like this one, scale. Scale is one of my favorites, especially for a button. So when I select it and I hover over the button, you see it grows. I like it. And it's bouncy. You see next to style, it says bounce in. You can have pop. There's the pop, one pop, push. Sometimes I just go through these. Grow is my favorite. I just like that grow, and you have the duration, how long it takes to grow. Make it quick, buddy. Yeah. And then you have these others as well. So wobble, wobble will wobble. Pulse is give you that heartbeat. It's similar to scale, I think. Move. What happens to move? It will move to a different place. And you have here again directions up. Let's hang. What is hang? Ding, ding. Okay. I like this. This is cool. Bob. Not Bob the guy, but bobbing in water. And buzz. Let's have a look at buzz. Okay, there's a buzz style and buzz out. Buzz out. Great. And these are the animations you can apply to your page. Typically what people will do is a column like this. You go to the column and then you go to your effects and you bring in a fade so that as people come onto your page, each of these columns will come in individually, and you add a little bit. Let's say this one is also fade. You add a little bit of a delay for each of them so they don't all come in at the same time. Great. And these are animations, entrance animations, as well as hover animations. In the next few chapters, let's have a look at all the various elements that you have to work with. In this chapter, we're going to look at grid elements, and there are 2 grid elements. To the Add Elements panel, we go on the left, select Add Elements, and you will see the very top 2 we refer to as grid elements. And the first one is column, and the second one is row. What are the differences between these two? Essentially very little, but very important in how it can be used. Now, the column you've seen, and we've worked with it. When you bring in a column, you drag it onto your page like so, and it gives you these blue bars. You can add more by clicking on the plus, and it will give you up to 6 columns. To delete it, simply right click on the column and then you can select delete from there. You can also put columns within columns. Let's bring in that column element again and drag it into another column, and then you have these two. You drag them around very easily. Select this column on the pink, drag it, and you will see you have all the other places that you can drop it. Now we've put it over here. We have one here. Let's grab this column again and drag it next to this one. There you go. You can put them below each other. So I can do that. Very easy how you can drag these guys around. You can also move them. I've moved it now manually, but you can go to the column settings and you have these arrows at the top. Move them around easily. Columns can be linked, which makes it great if you want a whole section that can be clickable. Wherever you are working with a big group of elements that you are grouping and you may want to copy that, that is where I recommend you use the row. Let's go to our add elements, select the row and drag it below these columns that we've brought in. Well, it looks like columns, right? In Didio, there are columns, but as you hover over it, you will see that we have this little gray icon that appears here. And as I hover over it, we have a different bounding box around both columns. This indicates that we have a row. Inside here, you're going to do columns like you would normally do. And in fact, you must always have one column. If I go to this column and I delete it, and I go to the second column and I delete it, the row also disappears. You always need one column. Let's bring the row back. Alrighty. Let's go to the settings of the row here, select it. And here you will see under the settings, we have width control. This is pretty nice if you want to bring in different canvas constraints for this. Really nice. You have your height that you can set auto, etc. And then you have all these normals for the background, the overlay, linking. But the great thing is now that if you build out something here with an intricate column design and you want to duplicate that, now all you need to do is you click duplicate and you have a copy of that. Whereas when you are using columns like I did here, you cannot duplicate this entire setup. That is where I would recommend you use the row instead of the column. And these are the two grid elements, super important. They give the structure to your page. With the grid elements out of the way, let's talk about our essentials. I build out pages daily, and 80% of those pages I build 100% with the essentials. A lot of percentages I'm throwing your way, but let's have a look at the essentials. We've worked with many of them already. The text element, you've seen how to work with it. Image, the button element already on the page. And to bring in any element, click, hold and drag. Drop it onto the page wherever you see a thick line indicating this is where you can drop it. So I bring the button in there and then selecting it to bring up our options toolbar, and you make your changes over here. Next, we have the icon, the spacer, the map. We've worked with all of them and the form. One of my favorites is the line as well. I like this to provide a little bit of a design and also separation on the page. I can change the width. I can change the alignment, and the line element has also some awesome features, like you can add text inside it, or you can add the text to the left with the line or on the right. And then you also have the option to make this not only line, you can make it an icon. So now I put the icon on the right, or I can put the icon back in the middle, change the size of the icon, and also change out the icon. A great separator, divider that you can use, and this line element I use pretty much all the time. Two more, and the one is menu, which gives us an opportunity to create a menu for our page. And then you see there's another menu, and this one has got a little pink dot. Now, this is the Pro menu, which includes mega menu features and a lot more. Really love this one. So if you are building complex multi-websites, I would recommend you go for the Pro option because you're going to need this one quite a lot. For the rest, you will see that they are divided by categories. We've got media, that gives you video, audio, a super awesome element called gallery, playlist, and then under content, you have a number of ways to structure your page and bring in more. A lot of these I use, like the tabs. This is a free one. They are great. Accordion, also great. And then others that I love, like the table, the timeline, the switcher, the carousel. It goes on. But you can see we have these little pink dots that pop up everywhere. Let's talk about the pro versus free in the next chapter. Pro and free, which one should you choose? I can tell you, you can go a long way with free. When you use the free version, you are going to be limited in functionality, but I've made some pretty awesome websites in the free version. There are two things that I think that are very important to know about the outcome of using free. I'll update this page that we are using, and then I'll click on preview. And this is the important part of free. The first thing that's going to happen is you cannot change your website address. You cannot change your domain. It is given to you automatically by Brizy. You can change a little bit of it, but this part, brizy.site, is always going to appear in your website address. That's the first little thing you need to know about the free version. I'll show you soon how you can change at least this part, Mandarin 169079002, do something more custom. But that brizy.site is always going to be there. The second one is this little label here in the bottom left corner, made with Brizy. Once you go pro, you have more power in changing your website address, as well as removing this. It won't even be there. Other pro features include the templates. Add another block to your page, and from the block manager, you will see we have layouts here at the top. We worked with that earlier, and this is one of the big reasons why a lot of people will go pro over these layouts. Currently, there are 156 pages, and these are multi-pages. So it's not just a single one that we've worked with now. If I select this one over here, laboratory, you can see we have a home page, we have an about, that's tests. Next one is contact, and then we have team. So more options, pre-made options that you have than just those that we've seen in the free version. Back to layouts, also under blocks, especially for the kit 2. Let's put it on kit 2. You can see there's a lot of pro in there. And one very important pro feature here is the header block. If you select header under categories, they're all locked. The reason is that the header block actually has functionality specific to that block. One of the other main reasons I've shown you to consider pro is the pop-up. So you have an opportunity, and you have the opportunity to add a pop-up by selecting and go to the link and click pop-up here and bring in a pop-up here in the pro version. But if we go to our dashboard here in the top right corner and you select this hamburger menu, note that you have stories and automatic pop-ups with conditions that you can also add. These are also pro features, and really a big reason why pro is a very important way to go. And a number as well, like creating your custom assets if you are interested in making custom post types. I really like the pro version, but I always say if the free version does it and get you where you want to go, try it first. Really go through it and have a look at what the free version can do for you. You can't break it, so go ahead and play around with it. We just looked at that section, which we refer to as the CMS. I hover over here at the top, you'll see CMS, Content Management System. Let's look at what this exactly means for your website. Everything here in the builder is what happens on your page. But what happens on your website as a whole is done within the CMS, the Content Management System. To access the settings for that, go to the top left corner and select the hamburger menu, and it takes you into the CMS. A few things that you have here. Pages, this is where you create and edit the pages. This is a one-pager, so I don't show you how to add more pages, but you can see here at the bottom, this is where we will add new pages. To create blogs, you go to posts, then you have stories. They are like Instagram stories, but as I selected, you will note that this is a pro feature. Same for the pop-ups and alerts, Users is a great feature when you assign certain roles to people who come to your site, and then you restrict access, like certain blocks can only be seen by certain types of users. And then below this is where you create your custom assets. And this is for people who know more about custom post types. What is important is that you have to dive a little bit deeper into your website below here with the project settings. Project settings are going to give you all that control you need over how your site will display and behave, especially in terms of SEO. Speaking of SEO, let's have a look in the next chapter how you will set that up and what that means for you. If you want your page to be searchable, that means people can find you on Google or Bing or whatever, you need to do some little bit of SEO, search engine optimization, and there is a section for that within Brizy. We go to our content management system in the top left corner, and then here in the bottom left, we select project settings, and that takes us here to the SEO. You can see there are a few others like sharing, system pages, translate, and we have code injection, webhooks, and also redirects. But by default, it will go to SEO. You need to do this before you really put your page live. This will make sure that it looks good and it nicely represented when somebody finds it online. First thing is we need to give our site a title. So we're going to call our site Best Website Agency, if it is an agency website, and give it a description. They say this is optional. I recommend you do it. You give it some description, and if you understand about keywords and stuff like that, give that, but make this at least, like it says, 150 to 160 characters, a few lines, very descriptive. It helps the search engine to understand what your website is about. And then your favicon. The favicon is this little icon that appears in the browser at the top. Currently, it shows the Brizy icon, which of course we don't want. Select that. And I've got a favicon over here. And then there's also the web clip that is for iPhones. New little thing that comes around. I'm just going to add the same one. You have an option here for search engine visibility. Yup. If you don't want your site to be found for some reason, you deselect this and it will not be included in search engines. But we want to be found, so we click that on. And then it says made with badge. That one I showed you, turn on or off. I cannot turn it off because you need the pro plan. Remember to save your changes. So let's save it. I'll click outside to close the CMS dashboard and let's select update just to be sure. Preview. And with this preview, we expect to see a new favicon. There it updates. And also we see Best Website Agency. Apart from this, I also recommend that you go to your CMS, project settings, and then next to SEO, you click on sharing. And this is how it will look if somebody shares your site's link on a platform like Facebook. Especially Facebook, this will be very important. You can see here, you have the option to set it the same as the SEO title. So it will borrow this SEO title, or you can set a different one. I'm going to say the same. Same here for social sharing description, but what is important is the image thumbnail that you'll be adding here. So also design one for that, or bring in a custom one or design, and this is how it will look if somebody posts it on something like Facebook or any other place where it will render this data for you. This is the minimum you should do before you feel confident that you've set up your site properly. Let's exit, Control S, Command S. I see I don't need to update, but I'll just go through that little procedure because I'm a little bit paranoid when it comes to saving my work. We're going to exit to the main dashboard in the next chapter and look at what happens when somebody sends a form and where you can get that data. Let's look at leads. I'll explain soon what a lead is if you're not 100% sure. Make sure that you have a preview open of your latest save. I'll close these two at the top and then I'll open a new preview. And this one on the left, which is the demo, I'm going to close that. And let's wait for this preview. Great, here's our preview. Everything is nice. We are going to test this form. So when someone comes to our site, they're going to enter the details here and they send it, but where does it go? let's select our project and exit to the main dashboard. Go to the bottom left, select the icon and select Go to Dashboard. And that brings us back where we started many eons ago. Here we have our agency demo 23. Select the preview and let's add an email here. I'll say JP at websites for w4p.io. My name is JP and then my message. Click on send now. It says button and your email was sent successfully. Thank you very much. But now I'm sitting on this side like, where is this email? Where is this information? This is called a lead. A lead is basically a person that has given you their information and you can contact them. We refer to that as a lead. Go to the project, the website, which this one is called Agency Demo 23. At the top, you will have settings here with these 3 dots. Select that and see leads appears here. Select leads and look at that. The information. Here is the email address, my name, and the message. If you add more fields into your form, they will appear here. You can export them. Select it with these check boxes and then click on export and you can choose XLSX or CSV. Basically, all of this goes to Excel. Great. And also, if you want to delete it, simply select the one that you want to delete and click on delete. Yes, I want to delete that and it's gone. If you want that also to give you an email reminder, then remember you will have to go pro and then you can set up that email function so you can get a reminder whenever somebody sends you a message. If you are using free, you will have to come in and manually check like at least once a week if somebody had sent you a message and it will appear here. That's the leads. In the next chapter, let's change our domain here and change this Mandarin 169.079.02 to something a little bit more custom. We discussed earlier that in the free version, you cannot do much about the website address. That .brizy.site will be there. It's one of those things when you get something for free, but you can change some of this website address. Select it here in the main dashboard. I'll click here and it opens the publish area. If you want to use your own domain, your own website address, you will need to upgrade to Brizy Pro, but you can make some changes here with the subdomain, which is what you currently have. You can see the .brizy.site is locked, but for this one, let's call this Agency Demo 2023-2023 and submit. Yep, it's not taken. It says done, and look there, it updates. Now, when I click here on the preview, you can see that it has updated there to Agency Demo 2023.brizy.site, and that's how you can make a little bit of customization to the URL. Perfect. Welcome back to our Brizy starter course here at the Brizy Academy. And now we are basically at the end. So we look at a few things here in the Brizy Cloud dashboard. There is a possibility that as you have created projects, and you see I have a number here already, I tested out. If something is free, it is great to go ahead and just test out stuff. And then you can go ahead later and, design it fully. That's why I have so many here. I'm constantly just testing stuff. I can make unlimited free websites here. But to clean up my workspace, I want to get rid of it. To delete the website, and I'll go to this one called New Project. I'll select the 3 dots and you see we have here delete. Select delete and then I'll type there in caps delete and click on OK. That makes sure that I don't have too many regrets if I deleted something that I needed to get back later. Another option is to duplicate. Let's look at this Agency Demo 23. Select the 3 dots, click on duplicate, and now it creates project 10. Let's give it a name, Agency Demo 23-2. Let's see if I click on edit project, what happens? Do we get the exact same page that we've made? And everything exactly the same, except when we now click on preview, we're going to see we have a different domain name. So I'll click here on the preview, Control-Shift-P, Command-Shift-P. And now we have another address up here. Again, it's a Mandarin, same fruit, but a different number, 174.71.727. So this has changed, but we have a perfect clone of our other website. Now I can go ahead and use the same format that I've created here, make changes, and I can do a little bit almost like an A/B. So if I work with a client, I can show them it can look like this or it can look like that. You can make many duplicates. Just remember to give them unique names so you don't get confused. Let's close these guys on the front, exit back to our dashboard, and then have a look at the pro features like for workspaces. Welcome back to the last tutorial in our Brizy Cloud Starter series here at the Brizy Academy. We have just scratched the surface, but everything I've shown you here is going to get you out and about to quickly make a website in Brizy Cloud free in really no time. The biggest work is actually the work you have to do before the time, like make sure you've got the right text, make sure you've got images, and have a good idea of what you are expecting the final product to look like. But once you have that, it is really easy go. I say it's easy go, but usually when you start something for the first time, it does take time to get used to it. Trust me, because you have this free option here, you can come and make as many websites as possible. Just spend time, play around, and you'll get really familiar with it, and you will speed up your workflow in no time. A few features I just want to revisit in the Pro section of this Brizy Cloud dashboard so you can understand the power of what you get here when you sign up for Pro. You have currently one workspace. To have a look at that, let's jump over into my Pro account. I've opened Chrome here to show you that. And you can see I have different projects here. This is a pop-up, and over here I also have a story. At the top where it says my personal projects, I select it and you can see I have a number of workspaces. This is called workspaces. I call it project folders. It's a folder for grouping your websites. Look here, Tutorials Brizy, and it says there are 8, and I can click on Tutorials Brizy and it takes me, and here are my 8 websites that I have for the tutorials. The great thing about this is that if I have somebody that is working with me on the tutorials, I can assign them as a team member. If we go back to the free version, you will see that I don't have the option to create a workspace. I only have this one. I can still assign team members. So if I click here on team members, you see I'm there, but I can add email addresses here, assign the roles, and I can send this out to people, invite them to collaborate with me. The great thing though is that if you have the Pro version and you assign team members in this workspace, they do not have access to the other workspaces. If we go to Brizy, you will see the WordPress and then the Brizy Cloud here. So let's select Cloud, and then it says get started now for free. You have the option here for the free version and then the Cloud. So step up to Pro. You have the option between personal, freelancer, agency, and white label. The other option will be to upgrade or downgrade sites, so you can bring in a custom URL. If I select this custom URL, you will see I have the option actually to make this a custom domain. So I can bring in a custom domain and I'll set it up, and then it will display that instead of the .brizy.site. That is also a Pro feature. That brings us to the end of this tutorial for our Brizy Academy. I really hope that you've learned a lot along this way. I mentioned earlier that this is just the tip of the iceberg. There is so much more to do here with Brizy Cloud. I really love it. The ease of use is just brilliant. And then when you get to the Pro version, there is so much more. And you can go check this out also on our support pages, what you get when you go Pro. From myself then, JP, go well and see you in the next tutorial.